married Billy Baru.
She would be Subaru. Our thanks to Muscatel Subaru.
She wants to meet Billy Baru. That came up this last weekend. She's like, she looked at me and said,
getting curious.
38 years is enough. I want to meet this new Billy Baru.
If she plays her cards right, maybe we can arrange that going on.
I was willing to.
Yeah. So the Twins opener coming up. It's the Frozen Four today, too, on NCAA hockey, Joel, in Boston, Denver and Michigan, Minnesota and Minnesota State, and in the world of hockey, Joel transferred to North Dakota. How about this? Ty Farmer spending 4 years at Massachusetts, a former Fargo Force standout. This is a real deal. Great player. He's heading to North Dakota, so that's good for Bradbury. It is the Masters. You're hearing the Masters updates on KFGO Radio. I heard you like Dustin Johnson. There's certainly take your pick. Tom Hoagie golfing in his first Masters. He does have one title under his belt, but, he has Tom what he hopes to accomplish.
You just want to go out and play well. And some weeks you can go play well and have a shot to win. Some weeks you can play well and finish 15th or 20th. But as long as I kind of go out and play well, and I think that, good weeks when you feel like your game's pretty efficient and you're getting the most out of what you can and not leaving those shots out there. So that's kind of what I focus on more.
They had a little overnight rain, Joel, in Augusta. You may have heard that on CBS News at the top of the hour. So it's pushing some of the the tee times back a little bit. So Tommy set to tee off about 11:35. It might be a little bit more till afternoon.
So what if we got in our rig right away when we get back from the Twin Cities, you and I, we went down to Dakota Sportsbook and put a little skin on Mr. Hoagie.
Will we be back? He'll already have a couple of holes under his belt.
Yeah, whatever. You can gamble on what the weather's going to be in 5 minutes. There's got to be something.
That's true. This date, I'm with you, 1963, at the age of 23. Jack Nicklaus, not to be confused with Jack Nicholson.
That was for you, Ab.
Became the youngest golfer to win the Green Jacket.
Nicholson.
Or Phil Nicklaus to win the Green Jacket at the Masters tournament. Now, Joel and Abby both have in front of them, and they haven't studied it yet, but they both have. You have a little bit. Yep. This day, you know who was born on this day? W.K. Kellogg. Yes, that Kellogg.
Cereal Kellogg.
That's exactly right. Together with John, his brother and whatnot. They had the Kellogg
moldy cereal.
His brother worked at a sanitarium, and oversaw people on this. And I realized this. This is probably why they got into making better food. Because the wealthy people back in the day, in the 1800s, they had, eggs and all of that stuff. So the Kellogg boys tried to, the poor people had to eat porridge, farina, gruel. Do you know what those other things are?
I know what gruel is. I know what porridge is.
Farina cat food?
Yeah. No, that's Purina. No, farina. It's close. Farina.
Maybe led to that.
I looked this up, too. Farina in Latin, it means meal or flour made from wheat middlings, the germ and endosperm of the grain, which are milled to fine consistency, then sifted. So this is, if you didn't have if you weren't well-to-do, you were eating gruel and farina.
It was my grandpa's mush that he made.
Yeah.
You ever eat mush?
We had malto meal. That basically those kind of things, right, Joe? We had the little malto meal. You mix some milk in there, and boom.
He just put flour and milk, and he poured it in a pan, and next thing you knew, you're putting a little cinnamon on it, and he called it mush.
So the Kellogg boys, they wanted in, they came up with the flakes and toasted, and the rest is history.
What's the best Kellogg cereal, you guys?
Well, I mean, Frosted Flakes to me is just.
Frosted Flakes, right, Ab?
Abby has wheat. What do you have in the morning?
Oh, I usually have frosted mini wheats.
Frosted mini wheats.
This morning I had
black bananas.
Yeah.
It is not black.
It doesn't look good, Abby.
No, it's not.
I'm telling you as a friend, that thing is gross.
In front of you.
I had Special K this morning.
And
Doug the chocolate Special K.
Oh, that sounds good.
Which is not Kellogg.
Doug and Dan today on the KFGO Morning Show had concessionaire Target Field talking about the wares that you're going to be able to order at Target Field. So I took the liberty today of breakdown. Someone did a story on if whatever ballpark you're at, what food to eat, what ballparks are really known, what's the creme de la creme at each ballpark. And I don't know where you guys are at, and I'm not through the list yet. But here, if you go to American Family Field in Milwaukee, home of the Brewers, they have brachos. You know what brachos are? Here's what you're getting in Milwaukee. A fried wad of cheese, seasoned ground beef, crushed Doritos and sour cream on a 6-inch toothpick. It's like a deep-fried plastic bag dancing in the wind of your culinary nightmares.
Would you eat it?
I would be allergic to.
Would you eat one of
Don's
those?
drooling back here in South
I
Township.
would try it.
I was looking, and thank you for this, Bones, because this is
It's good read, right?
I'm sitting here looking at the Twins. Target Field ranked second,
Yeah.
by the way, in this article. The Twins target field, but they forgot a couple in there, which I think actually should add to it.
Like a Murray's steak sandwich or something? Or?
And you can get walleye on a stick, remember?
Oh, yeah.
The walleye on the stick out in center field is awesome. And didn't Tony Oliva have a Cuban sandwich? Or is
Yes, that's right. But do you also see this at Target Field, chilled sesame peanut noodles?
I know. I never saw that, but I'm willing to try it.
It sounds like it would be Thai or something.
Yeah,
Right.
well, Andrew Zimmern,
sounds
who's,
good.
if you've ever seen the Food Channel, and Andrew Zimmern, who eats, all over the world, these strange things and bugs and this and elephant tail dipped in that, I think he's got an influence on some of the foods there at Target Field.
Well, and they were talking about, I don't know what stadium is it. Is it Seattle where they're serving grasshoppers?
Yeah, and that makes about sense, doesn't it?
Right. I mean, why not?
I mean, I would try it. I guess I've
Well,
never tried. Toasted grasshopper. They put it in a zesty citrus seasoning.
Apparently, they sell a lot of them after the seventh inning.
But it's a good read. Yeah.
So
There's some good food in here.
Funnel cake poutines in Toronto.
So no frosted flakes, none. Okay, which one of these is the last one you eat? It's the last meal you get on Earth, right? Raisin Bran, Rice Krispies, Special K, Crispix, Fruit Loops, Corn Flakes.
Are you allowing milk or is
These
this
are
just
all
plain?
Kellogg cereals, Apple Jacks. Yes, you get milk.
Can we add sugar to the Rice Krispies?
That's a good question.
Yes, you can add sugar to any one of this.
Then you know what?
Can I have the Special K chocolate delight that I had this morning?
That does sound
Yes.
pretty good, but it's almost like you're mixing part
So
of a.
you're going to
less-
Special K is what you're going
I think
to.
I would take my It's just Special K with little chocolate squares in it.
If I went through a grocery store aisle and they had Crispix, it's going to end
That's
up in my bag.
exactly where I was going
I
to go.
love
In tribute
Crispix.
to William Keith Kellogg, known as W.K. Kellogg, I would do that because it's almost like a little jail cell of flavor,
know, it
and
just-
then the milk flows through it,
And
then if
you
can
bite
add
it,
sugar,
and it's like it finally says, "I give up."
that's it.
But then if they wait too long in the milk,
There's
Oh,
your
yeah,
you get
that's
problem.
that
bad.
soggy cell.
Wow, that's just ridiculous. I
that's
mean,
it.
don't wait. Get after it. Get in there.
Timberwolves in action tonight, taking on the San Antonio Spurs, the greatest city in the world, San Antonio. Thank you very much, in my opinion.
Everything's got to fall in place for them to get the 6th seed.
They've got to
doesn't
win
it?
the remaining two. Denver's got to lose the
Lose the
remaining two.
remaining two,
So obviously they got to win tonight.
Yeah, they're going to win tonight. Period. Plain and simple.
Crispix.
Even though they're not the favorite.
Yes.
We got a big announcement coming up. Come in here, Jack. I want to
Alrighty.
visit with you just a little. Radio Network with me, Joel Heitkamp, your host, Abby Miller, your producer. She's still mad that she's not getting to go to Target Field tomorrow, but
I wish I was.
here's what you do,
It's
Abby. You
okay.
ready?
I did that last week.
You don't feel good. You need the day
Although I
off.
was here.
Then when you get down there, don't tell anybody you're down there, right?
Yeah.
We gotta
No one will know.
We'll take you along. I've been teasing this all week long. I've been saying that there's an announcement coming that might make you go, holy cow, I never saw that one coming. Well, it's here. There's a man in studio with me right now, and I'll let him say exactly what's going on, but you're going to recognize the voice because oftentimes Al Carlson guest hosts for me right here on the News and Views Radio Network. Al, how you been?
Life has been good.
Just can't stay out of it, can you?
Yeah, well, Joel, there's things in life that get in your blood, and one of them is public service. And I don't think many people saw this coming.
No.
But my wife and I had a long discussion about, we've lived in Fargo our whole life, basically from college on, and we've fought many floods, built many buildings, raised our family here. And this town's pretty important to us.
And you're going to run
And I'm going to run for the city commission.
I never saw that coming, Al. I didn't. I mean, obviously we talk and, I was picking around the edges of it. And you just kept saying, let's wait and see, But, yeah, I mean, to get after all those years of public service going to Bismarck to say I want to be on the city commission, I didn't see it coming.
You know what? I've dealt with the city in many ways as a contractor for the last 40 years. And I've watched this town grow from 50,000 people to 140,000 people, and I was part of that. I was fortunate enough to be a builder, to build houses and condos and twin homes and hotels and dental offices and all those things that helped grow the Fargo city itself and the Fargo tax base. And I'm concerned that we make sure that the future of Fargo is as bright as the years that I was able to build all those things in it. Now, one thing that I also have, Joel, is that I didn't have before, is that I'm not building anymore, and I have the time to devote the energy and I have the passion to make this city even better. So I'm looking forward to this as a challenge. You were a legislative candidate, as I was. Best thing about this race is it's only 60 days long.
Yeah, I was thinking of that, how sweet that is.
Well, you're not starting now and going all the way through November. What you're doing is you're condensing it into a 60-day time frame. You try and get out your message. And like anything, it's your name, your name, your name. You can talk issues till you're blue in the face, and a lot of times they just kind of glaze over eyeballs. But Fargo has got many opportunities in front of it, and I'm looking forward to being part of it.
And here's the other part. There aren't a lot of parades between now and that city election.
Yeah. I've never was quite that good at this
parade,
little hand wave and tossing out candy, but
Queen Elizabeth
if I had to do it, I could do it.
Yep.
But the point is, people need to know what they're getting when they vote for their commissioners, because those 5 people determine the future of this city and what direction it's going, and what the taxes will be, and what the programs will be, and what the policies will be. And they have an important job, those 5 people.
So what changes? I mean, if you win this race, if you find yourself as one of those 5 people, what changes? What do you do different than what the current city commission is doing now?
Well, I think that I was always known as a budget guy. In the legislature, I was on the tax committee, and I was the leader, and I was on the appropriations committee. I'm a numbers guy. I want to make sure that the people are getting the best bang for their buck. Now, you and I both probably just received our little letters that said our assessments have changed on our houses. And if there's any tax that the people like the least, it's the property tax. And I think that we need to take, even though the city's a small part of the big picture on the property tax, everybody needs to do their part to make sure that housing stays affordable in the city of Fargo, that our home ownership grows and those type of things. So I'll bring an attitude of I would go meet with all the department heads. I'd look at their departments, how they function. I think I know a lot about things like that, and I think I can bring some expertise to how do we make government more efficient.
Fargo, you mentioned, went from 50,000 people to 140,000 people right in front of your and my eyes. I remember when King Leo's was down south, almost out of Fargo. You look at this thing now, and you're becoming a long, narrow city. And sometimes building infrastructure for a long, narrow city is a real challenge, especially when you're in the bottom of a lake bed and there isn't that much elevation difference from the north to the south, where you're trying to take your raw water, where you're trying to take your wastewater, numbers involve infrastructure. That's a big part of what, to me, cities don't talk about enough: the curb, the gutter. How do you fix that? How do you utilize the ground that you have left to build this city in?
Well, I think the part of it has been, and the big fight has been over the recent years, is that whether you have a diversion or not have a diversion, and are you protecting one group calls it a dam, other group calls it a diversion. But the point is, you need to protect those 140,000 people living within the city limits. It's hard not to be long and narrow in Fargo. We have the interstate in the way. And going north, you have the airport, and you have the Red River cutting back. So it isn't like there were a lot of options saying in West Fargo, which has grown a great deal to our west, it has kind of limited the direction Fargo can go. Now, this is still North Dakota. People like a yard. They like a little room. They like a little space. They don't all want to live downtown in a high rise. And God bless them for that. This is North Dakota. So we need to make accommodations of how we effectively grow our city and making sure those services can be provided. Does it cost money? Yes, it does. Are special assessments a problem? Yes, they are. As a contractor, I can tell you they're becoming a real inhibitor for people building new homes. And we need to address that. They had a study on it. I don't think they quite solved the problem, and that needs to be one of the things addressed. That and making sure that, for example, I'll give you my house on real estate taxes. I just was assessed up $55,000 in 1 year. If you figure that out times current mill levies, that's a $730 increase per year. And I'm not the only guy that got those. Most of South and North Fargo got them. So if people look at that statement and say, what did I get for that extra $737? The answer is don't raise your mills, lower your mills, and live within the budget you have. And I hope that we can keep the budget in line so housing becomes more affordable. That, to me, would be a really big thing.
Well, and I want to talk about that because, as you pointed out, the city's portion of those mills is a very small portion in relation to property taxes. But the relationship with the school district and what happens with Fargo Public Schools is one that I want to get your take on. I want to find out how the city of Fargo can coordinate with them. If you're going to work on property taxes, you're going to have to work with the school district. So stick around. Al Carlson, now candidate for the Fargo City Commission. We'll visit some more with Al right after this. Al Carlson, now candidate for the Fargo City Commission, is still in studio with us. By the way, do you have a Facebook page or a website?
Well, that's all coming.
Is it?
Yeah, you know what? You're the first one to know today.
I
and
like
there's a lot
that.
of people said, why would you go to Joel first? I said, because a simple thing. Joel's my friend, and I'm going to go tell him, let him make the announcement with me.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Want to talk to you about the relationship that the different political subdivisions have together to deal with things like property taxes. Because when you said property taxes, you got my attention. That's something you and I used to work on together in the legislature. So talk to me about the relationship that the city commission has with the school district and others.
Yeah, when you look at the list, and I just happen to have that because I'm kind of a tax guy, the city, the county, the park, the school, and then there's this category called other, which is a lot of little different things, drains and stuff like that. But those are the big ones. Those are the ones, there are 4 of them. Of this is a little 2-year-old number, but the mills for the city was 53, the county was 49, the park was 28, which was higher than I thought it would be, and the school was 194. Now you got to remember the school has more money has been interjected because of the state contribution to that over the years, and theirs has gone down. But all 4 of those need to be at the table when the budget's prepared, because right now the way the budget's done is everybody figures out how much money they need, and they turn it into the county auditor, and he adds up all the numbers of these people, and they said, well, in order to cover this, we're going to need, 534 mills. Wow. And then people say, what in the world's a mill?
Right.
We got to get to also to the stage where mills go away as far as discussion with the taxpayer and talk about percentages. The budget needs to go up 2% in order to maintain all the services we have. Mm-hmm. Or the budget can go down 2% because we have paid off some bonds and we don't need it, or whatever it happens to be. So you need to talk in a language that people understand, because I have a definition of I could give you a 5-page sheet that talks about what a mill is and how the percentages are down to actually the taxable value. And it gets to be really something.
Well, people think a mill is a mill.
Yeah.
A mill in Richland County is different than a mill in Cass County.
There's a lot more.
Right.
But you need to get, all these groups need to be together and say, you know what, we need to make sure that we as a group control this growth of our city taxes, because if a renter in an apartment building thinks that increasing taxes doesn't affect them, they're wrong, because if that landlord pays more money, he raises his rent. So everybody's part of this whole game, and you really need to work hard on this. They'll tell you they have. I think we need to work harder on getting this in line. There's a couple other things, Joel, that are important to me as I've watched this city grow, and public safety is another one. Public safety, whether it be the fire department, the police department, the EMT people that we have around town. This is not the same Fargo that it was 20 years ago. You listen to the news that your people put out, and there's stabbings and there's shootings and there's fires and there's homelessness. There's all kinds of issues that need to be addressed, and we need to make sure that our public safety people are properly funded. If we need 12 officers on the street at night driving our streets instead of 5, then it's up to the city commission to make sure, how do we get those people so this city is safe? Because the people expect only several things from the city. They want the infrastructure to work. They want their water and sewer to work. They want the street lights to be on. And they want to make sure that when their kids are going somewhere, they're safe. And whether it be in the schools or whatever. And we need to up our game on that, because that problem's not going to get less as we get bigger. It's going to get more. And we need to make sure we keep investing properly in public safety. And infrastructure always have to be either pay me now or you pay me later. Those are the kind of things that are important to me. There's lots of issues they deal with. They deal with all kinds of tax exemptions, and they deal with all sorts of things. Those need to be weighed out one at a time and done based upon their merit. And those are the things that a commissioner has to decide as he gets the facts.
What about, and I've raised this question with everyone that ever runs for office in this town. What about things like the Renaissance Zone? There's such a focus on downtown Fargo. As a city commissioner, will there be certain areas of your city that you say, look, this is where our focus needs to be, or will there be a broader stroke when it comes to that?
I think that if you look at Fargo and you look at the 5th Avenue North, the 5th Avenue South, you look at those two, those houses are in many cases 140 years old. And there's a point in time where you have to address, how are you going to make that affordable what are you going to do with those houses if they're not salvageable? And the city is doing some plans. They have some redo plans and some loans and things that are available. But that's part of your urban sprawl you talked about, is how do you get neighborhoods where the people want to move into on the inner city. And that's an issue that I'd have to study some more, but I think that's real viable. Is how do you deal with that inner city part, and how do you revitalize that to a more modern approach to housing for people so that they can afford to be there?
Well, you're going to make it interesting. I'll tell you that.
Well,
you up for a debate if we line one up with you guys?
I don't know how you handle 12 people, but I guess I'd be glad to. Everybody gets 30 seconds.
Well, you make it work. That's what you do. Al, thanks for coming here and doing this.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it.
Not a problem.
Al Carlson, candidate for the Fargo City Commission. When we come back, we're heading to Germany. That's right. A woman and her family that moved from Ukraine.
U.S. executive for Poseidon Concepts, a fluid storage tank supplier based in Calgary, Alberta. Investigators say he made misleading statements about the company's finances in order to inflate its stock price. The company's stock plunged after the fraud was uncovered, and it was forced into bankruptcy in 2013. The Grand Forks County Sheriff's Department is looking to lease rather than own a fleet of squad cars. Sheriff Andy Schneider told County Commission members that it could be a significant cost savings. Schneider says the idea has received positive reviews. He says there'd be a substantial savings, estimated at nearly $1 million over 10 years. The Sheriff's Office needs to replace aging vehicles, some with over 100,000 miles. Schneider plans to bring a formal lease proposal with Enterprise Rent-A-Car to the County Commission later this month. Fargo-Moorhead, we will be windy this afternoon, right around 36 for a high. The rain and snow will move through. Decreasing clouds later tonight. Still windy for a time, 24. 44, mostly sunny tomorrow. Saturday, partly sunny, and at near 50. Cloudy Sunday, chance of light rain or light snow, 47. Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy, 34. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
I really enjoy the fact that, we have a meat segment every Thursday in just a few moments here. And sitting in this chair and already, before I turn the monitor on, having questions ready for Spencer Word. He's our meat dude. He's going to be coming up here in just a little bit. Cuts, rubs, cooking techniques, what to ask the butcher, what not to ask, whatever it is. You got a question, he answers it, and he will take your questions. If you want to send those in to the Act Consultants of North Dakota Text Club, which is 35270. But allow me a moment to indulge myself. A moment of complete selfishness, of which nobody in this building knows. And quite frankly, I'm sure you listening probably don't care. But this is going to be either the most exciting or most disappointing moment for my short-lived radio career here on KFGO.
You are really hedging some bets over there.
I know. Carl's our IT guy. You don't know Carl. But Carl and I have been working on some things behind the scenes of which no one else knows here. Because you see, I'm at the whims of my producer, Eric Johnson, whom you just heard, when it comes to certain things coming over these airwaves from this studio, sponsored by Gunderson's Jewelers, to you in your car, at your office, in your shop. I just want to, I'm a little bit of a control freak.
Sometimes I feel like everyone I work with is an idiot.
Yeah, so except for Carl. And we're going to find, we're going to test this out to see if it works. I said, Carl, you know what? I just want a little bit more control over some of the things that happen during my show. I've been devising this secret soundboard. Okay. Now, what people don't know, soundboard, so you just heard Eric use a sound that he has cut together back there.
Oh, you mean the state senator?
So I can play some sound bites when I want to.
Yes, and I am in no way control of any of that. And it's usually used at my expense like that, of which I never say I was a senator. I always say I'm a state senator. That's Heitkamp's the one that doesn't throw the state in there. So I'm a little bit more humble when it comes to that. But Carl.
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
stop
that's
that
just
now.
Like your
stepping
opinion,
all
man.
over this moment for me. Carl says that he made me one that I've got complete control over. So we're going to try. Right now, this is live. I have no idea. Again, you don't care, but this is exciting for me because it's going to game change Afternoons Live if it works. So I'm going to push a button, Eric, and I swear if it works, you are going to be in a world of trouble. Today is National Beer Day.
Okay.
I was supposed to be over at Twin Peaks today.
Mm-hmm.
But Twins were supposed to be playing today. They're not. So we're supposed to be bringing you the Masters, which is going on. Tom Hoagie's had a decent start
Tiger Woods, we'll get into that a little bit later on. So we're supposed to be talking Masters, Twins baseball. That ain't happening. That's going on tomorrow. And National Beer Day. So I'm going to push this button and hope, fingers crossed, that I've got a soundboard that works over here. Yes!
Hey.
Game changed
Look at
here on
that.
Afternoons Live. Thanks, Carl. Look out, world. We just entered a whole new phase with this. You don't care. You're going to eventually down the road here. There, that's been our little secret thing going. You've been wondering what Carl and I have been running around doing. That's what we've been up to. So keep that in your back pocket later on.
All right. So now, next phase is you're going to have to learn restraint. Because there are a lot of buttons I want to hit a lot of times. You can't just do sound bites the whole show.
I try to limit it as best I can. 237-5948. That's the ladies' studio line. Texting the word meet into 35270 at the iConsultants of North Dakota Text Club. A lot of you are doing that already. You're getting registered if you fill out the link that is sent back to you. If you don't want to text, if you're at your office, your computer's right there, just go to kfgo.com. There's a Gear Up for Grilling tab. Fill that out and then be listening. In about 20 minutes' time, after our conversation with Spencer Wirt, we're going to have our meat round. I think this is our third week in which we get 10 finalists. 3 of you are getting the gift cards for Barnesville Grocery. They're the meat sponsor of this segment here. And I got their latest as far as what their specials are this week. Thinking about boneless tip roast, boneless tip steak. They've got some pork chops, the meats, Frank's sliced bacon. There's just so much over at Barnesville. If you have not been to Barnesville Grocery, they have been that little hidden secret, I think, for a little too long. It's no secret anymore. People are making the drive out just to get some of the variety of the ballpark Frank's, the brats. They've got such a variety over there. And I want to thank them for allowing us to do a radio meat raffle every Thursday here on Afternoons Live. That all comes after our conversation with Spencer Wirt. In fact, I'm going to take a quick pause here. We'll come back to your questions that you've already sent in. A couple about, how to cook a prime rib roast on a wood pellet grill. Great question. We'll ask him right after this. Afternoons Live is just getting started on KFGO. Stick around.
rib, because if you sear that prime rib super hot and the muscles kind of close up,